Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So in today's video, I'm joined yet again with my lovely wife, Stacy.
Hey!
And for this video, we're going to be talking about books that you made me read and how I felt about them. And if you want to go see the opposite, go check out her channel where we talk about books that I made you read and how you felt about them.
Yes, and you can find that, well, if Jake forgets to link it.
I will link it.
My channel is The Chapter Conundrum.
It'll be down below.
Yeah, but in this one, we're talking about books that I forced Jake into and how they went for him.
And this spans a few years now, like either very recently or even when we were dating or maybe even before we were dating.
Yeah, there may be some in here from before we were dating. I'm not sure.
It spans a few years and all different kind of books and different types of feelings for these books. Some books I really enjoyed, others we'll find out.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what's the first option?
So the first one is a recent read for Jake, and this is one that I forced him into, and it's called Defending Jacob by William Landay. And essentially this is like a crime or legal thriller a little bit. And in here you follow a DA, and he is like in charge of a case until his son is a suspect in the case. And from there it's a lot of like, did his son do it? Did he have the capability of doing it? Did he not? You kind of find out more tidbits about the case as you continue reading, and maybe your opinion sways for one direction or the other. This is kind of a slow-paced one, but I really loved it, and I wanted Jake to have the reading experience of something a little bit different than what we would typically pick up in a thriller. And so, yeah, how did it go for you?
I really enjoyed it. Not quite as much as you did because you gave it 5 stars. I ended up rating it 4.5 stars, mainly because kind of the first half I was enjoying it, but it wasn't like that compelling.
Yeah, it took a while to get invested into.
But the second half, where we started to kind of blur the lines of like, did he do it? Did he not do it? And then the ending, like the very ending, was what bumped us from being kind of just a regular 4-star solid book to a 4.5 star book. The ending is what sold it for me. And yeah, you picked a pretty good one.
We have to watch the adaptation at some point. We still haven't done that.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one was pretty good. What's next?
Going in a wildly different direction. One that I made Jake pick up, this might have been before we were dating, is Hyperbole and a Half by Ellie Broche. And this is kind of an interesting like non-fiction memoir, but also like half graphic novel, half text. And essentially each chapter you kind of have a different life experience of the author, and she's quite humorous. Like, she's very funny. At times she's very relatable. At times it's just really meant to be funny. But yeah, I loved this. There were a couple chapters in here on depression that I thought were really fascinating for sure. The way she explained it was just like, I'd never heard somebody else talk about it in those kinds of terms. And yeah, there was just a lot to laugh at in here as well. So I forced you into it, and
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think at the time I gave it 5 stars because it was very funny. I didn't really have complaints with it. Retroactively, I think it's more of a 4.5 star book because it's not one that I'm like really wanting to go back and reread. But at the same time, it was very fun, and we were dating at the time. We were long distance, and I do remember reading to you chunks of this book, or maybe not the whole book.
Well, Sharon was with us too.
Yeah. It was a very funny book. I will say that. One of the funniest books I've read, and it was very good. So I think right now I'd give it 4.5 stars, but it was a very good pick from you.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those ones that it didn't necessarily like hold up in your mind as a favorite, but I think when you were in it, you were really enjoying the experience, and that's why you gave it a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another good pick. You sometimes have good taste.
Oh, well, we're going to find out how often that holds true in this video. The next one is one of my all-time favorite thrillers that I forced Jake into, and that is The Passengers by John Mars. And this is kind of a near future sci-fi dystopian one where there are self-driving cars, and one day 8 of them containing passengers are hacked, set on a collision course with each other, and the hacker has some things to say. He publishes the feeds of all of these people and slowly reveals more facts about them, why they were chosen to the public, and he wants the public's commentary on whether they should live or die. It was a wild ride that I thought had really interesting reveals throughout, and I loved my reading experience of this one. But what did you think?
And again, for the third time in a row now, I really enjoyed this one. But again, not quite as much as you did.
Okay.
A lot of the times when you like love a book, I'll really enjoy it, but not love it quite as much as you. This one for me, great start, fantastic premise. I love the pacing. I love kind of the many reveals that we get, because we get a lot of different reveals from all of the characters in the story. So I loved that until the very end. The very end was a bit convoluted for me. It just got a bit messy. I wish it kind of would have ended a little bit sooner.
It just had one too many reveals.
A lot of thrillers that can ruin it for me. Riley Sager does that a lot. But yeah, The Passengers was very good up until the very end, which is why I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. So we haven't really, I mean, Hyperbole and a Half was 5 stars, but I think retroactively it's not quite. So not really a 5-star book yet.
Well, speaking of Riley Sager, I made Jake read The House Across the Lake, and this is one that follows an actress, Casey, who is kind of having a tough situation. So she decides to take a bit of a break at the family lake house, and she meets a couple who's living across the lake. She's kind of seeing little snippets of their day-to-day interactions through the glass, like from across the lake. And one day the wife goes missing, and she's worried that not everything is as it seems in their relationship. And this one was an interesting one. So I had read this kind of right after release day, before a lot of reviews were out for it, before I knew how polarizing this was. But I absolutely loved this. I had never felt more duped by a thriller twist, and I loved the experience of that. But I will acknowledge that the twist of this is a make it or break it scenario for a lot of readers. But how did it work for you?
So this one, yet again, knocked it out of the park. This one is the first 5-star one, and it's a mutual favorite for both of us. This is both of our favorite Riley Sager books. And for me, like you mentioned, a lot of people, it's a make or break for the twist. And the twist, like you mentioned, really got to me. It really duped me. It's one of those twists where you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. You got to go back, and then you're like, oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I had to reread some portions when I got that twist.
So yeah, it was very good. I loved the characters. Sometimes Riley Sager doesn't really knock it out of the park with his characters, but I thought that was really good. Pacing was really good. The atmosphere was great, and the twist was top notch. Even though a lot of people hate it, I really enjoyed it. So, yep, 5 stars. We both agree. Good job.
Thanks.
Do you have any books that you recommended to me that I didn't like as much?
Yeah, I think this next one would fall into that category. Although, to be fair, we chose this for a read-along for a readathon team that we were co-captains of, and we hadn't actually read it before we chose it. So it's not like one that I read and loved and then was like, oh, you need to read this. But it is one that I really loved, read first, and told Jake he needed to read it, and kind of forced him into it. And that is The Hammer by KJ Parker. And essentially this is kind of like a darker tone alternate history book, kind of inspired by like colonialism in the US, I would say, that sort of era. And you follow our main character, Gignamai, and kind of like his family dynamic is not that great. So he sort of strikes off on his own in town. He's trying to kind of find his own way, and things ensue from there.
Yeah, this book, what did you rate this book?
I gave this a 4-star rating. I did think that the beginning of this was slow, but once I was into it, I was really into it, and the ending shocked me.
Yeah, for me, I gave this book 3 stars. It was okay. It was kind of a slog to get through, honestly. A lot of it was boring. I didn't really get attached to the characters. It felt like not much was happening. You can kind of tell, not like right away, but like eventually you get the idea of like what he's trying to do. And the ending, like twist or reveal, didn't really do much for me. So honestly, this was just an okay book. Like not terrible, but it didn't really sell me on KJ Parker yet. I do want to read more from him, like The Company. I think I'm going to like more. But this first book didn't really do it for me.
Well, it sold me on KJ Parker.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, this is like a 3-star book. It was fine. It was fine. So it's not bad, but, you know, not nearly as great as those other books that you made me read.
Going into another fantasy, this one definitely different, but also kind of darker in tone, especially at times. We got to talk about one of my all-time favorite books that I forced Jake into, and that is The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. And essentially in here you follow a mother and son, 2 different POVs, Mamoru and Misaki, and they live on the Sword of Kaigen, which is kind of a peninsula with more of like a backwards government that like they're not as advanced either in tradition or in technology compared to the world around them. But they do have some interesting magic. And the story really kind of takes off when one day their nation is attacked. And I thought that this was a super memorable reading experience for me. Not only because of the actual story, but because of the character emotion behind the story. I felt like the more the story went on, the more it surprised me and the more it stuck with me and the more it sat with me. Like, this is one 5 years later. I read this back in 2020, so it's been 5 years. I can still vividly remember how I was feeling reading this book and some of the chapters in it and the experience I had. So definitely stood the test of time for me. But how did it work for you?
Honestly, I did. First of all, I did like this book, but honestly, if it wasn't for you like pushing me to read this book, this book did not start off well. I think by today's standards, because I'm very easily DNFing books, I would have DNF'd this book because the first chunk of this book is super slow. I did not care about anything that the author was going into, but eventually the stories get good, the characters get good, and something happens that kind of shifts the scope of the story, kind of shifts it into a different gear. Then the book was really good. So overall it was a 4-star book, but it's never going to be a 5-star experience because the first chunk of this book I just really did not get along with. I think you're more easily to forgive that section than me, right?
Yeah, I will say the first third is a lot of like world building and character backstory that doesn't necessarily feel all that relevant up front, but that you kind of understand the relevance for later. So the first third is like you'll be questioning, is this an amazing book? But then you get to the story and it gets really great.
The parts of the book that were, good were like really great, really outstanding, and like you mentioned, they are they are very memorable. They are very memorable. And I'm not sure if I would ever go back and reread it, honestly, but
I will.
I know, but it is pretty good. Not as good as some of these other books that you mentioned, but it is an all-time favorite for you.
Yes.
Not for me.
But you liked it.
I liked it well enough.
And you understand why it's such a favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it. Next up, I want to talk about another thriller that I read and liked quite a bit that I wanted Jake to read because it was the first time I could ever remember audibly gasping at a reveal, and I thought that was going to be a fun experience for Jake. And that is, of course, Confessions by Kanai Minato, and this is a Japanese translated thriller that follows a school teacher who's deciding to retire, but she's pretty young to retire, and there's kind of like an event that is like the catalyst for her decision. And in the opening, she's teaching her final lecture, and she's kind of going into why she's making this decision with her students. And from there, every chapter is a different perspective, and every perspective has something to add to the surrounding information of the event that was kind of the catalyst. So it becomes interesting from there. But yeah, I had a great time with this. Definitely was shocked by some reveals and wanted Jake to read it.
Yes. So I had heard the main thing that drew me to this book is kind of the structure of the book, where like each chapter you're told from a different perspective, and I had heard like each chapter kind of has like a bombshell moment. So I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes.
Some more bombshell-shelly than others.
The first chapter of this book is the most memorable, and you had a gasp moment. I had a oh shit moment where I literally read the first chapter and said, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that happened. So the first chapter, I think probably like the biggest fault I have with the book is that the first chapter peaks and that the rest of the book isn't quite as good as that first chapter moment, but it's still really good. Each chapter, you get a bit more of the story, you get a lot more reveals, and the structure was very interesting. So I did really enjoy it. Gave it 4.5 stars, but man, that first chapter, you can't beat it.
So another one that I wanted Jake to pick up and buddy read with me, and a whole slew of other people with similar reading taste to me, was Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. And I really like this one. So this follows Valen Al-Sorna, and he's the son of a prominent military figure in the society. But his dad drops him off at like the military training camp, and this really is the story of him doing his military training and kind of like all the people he meets along the way, the politics that kind of you start to uncover towards the end as he's like being thrust kind of back into the world a little bit. And yeah, I had a really good time with this one. I did think it was a bit interesting that it opened kind of like with more of like the future, and then he's talking about, okay, we're gonna go back to tell you the story of how this happened. And I didn't realize that when I first picked it up. So the formatting was a bit interesting at first for me, but now that once I figured out that context, it was all good. I had a good time with this one, even though it was kind of slower paced. I really enjoyed the character dynamics with all the side characters. The animal companion in here makes my top 10 animal companions list. What did Jake think about it?
So first of all, I think what you were trying to say is that it was like a chronicler moment where like at the prologue, I think he's basically in prison, and you're getting the whole story basically from the chronicler writing this guy's story. And there's a lot of comparisons made to Name of the Wind, which I didn't really like that book that much.
I don't think they're the same.
I know they're not the same, but you get a lot of comparisons is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And I wasn't a big fan of Name of the Wind. And jumping into this book, I wasn't really that excited about it. And going into and reading the book, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I gave it a generous 3 stars. I think the premise of the book is interesting, and it could have been really good. But for me, I have to get a good sense of the characters and really enjoy the character development. And really, none of the characters, including the main character, I got that attached to. I didn't like them, and so like you're reading about all these characters, and I just didn't really care that much. So this one was just kind of bland.
This is one that I think he's just wrong on.
I
don't know what you were doing when you were reading this book, but you were distracted.
I was not distracted. This book I didn't like it. I'm not allowed to not like a book, okay? You didn't like a lot of my favorites, so I don't want to hear it. Go check out that video where she basically dislikes all my books.
I don't dislike all the ones you made me read.
All of them.
No,
but anyway, and I didn't hate this book. You gave a lot of my books 2 stars, so I don't want to hear it. I gave this book like 3 stars.
Yeah.
A generous 3 stars. But I just didn't like the characters, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And I will not be continuing, but you will be.
Yes, I will be. We own the trilogy behind Jake. You can't see it. You can't see it. You still can't see it. Now you can see it.
Covering it up.
Yeah. So next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite fantasy series that is quite wordy. It's got a lot of books. The books are very long. And you didn't think you were going to really enjoy this, but I really wanted him to try it because I have loved my time with these books. And that is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And essentially in here, you follow our main character, Claire, and she kind of accidentally stumbles upon a Celtic ritual being performed. And sort of like once that's done, she kind of goes into the area where it was to try and suss out like what the heck was happening exactly. And she ends up getting sucked back in time. And this is kind of like the story of her trying to navigate that situation. She doesn't really fit in. She knows kind of what's coming because she's a little bit familiar with history. And yeah, so it adds a lot of tension to the story because she knows that there are some not great things on the horizon, and she's trying to figure out how to fit into this antiquated time period. How did you feel about it? How did you feel about it?
So, before going into the book, I didn't really know too much about it. All I really knew was that it involved time travel, and I kind of assumed that it was going to be way more smutty than it actually was because I think I had seen ads for the TV show and they kind of play off of that a lot. So going into this book, I was not looking forward to it that much.
I think the TV show plays up the romance more than the books do.
But I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed the book. I gave it 4 stars. I think you gave like the first 2 books 5 stars.
Yeah.
So the first 2 books for me are 4 stars. I did really enjoy. I would say my favorite part of the series, because I'm 4 books in now. Claire is a really good protagonist. She's one of my all-time favorite fantasy protagonists now.
Yep.
That's kind of the main draw for me with this book, especially the first 2 books. But yeah, I really enjoyed Claire. There was a lot less smutty scenes than I thought there would be. There's a couple, but
Yeah.
it's really a lot more than that. There's time travel, there's history, a lot of cool stuff. It's also very funny, which I wasn't expecting. So yeah, lots of good stuff in here. Solid book. I don't love it quite as much as you. And the kind of the later books in the series I'm not loving that much. They're like 3 stars, but hopefully it gets better.
It does.
I liked books 1 and 2 a lot.
Moving on to a fun indie horror that I absolutely loved and had a great time with, that I wanted Jake to read. We're going to talk about Escape by Ian Rob Wright. And essentially in here, you have a girl who's kind of new to a workplace, and she ends up going with her coworkers to an escape room where they quickly figure out they are locked in, and not in a way that they're supposed to be locked in, and things are going very wrong. And this is how it goes from there. So this is kind of one of those ones that is just a really enjoyable ride. It's kind of interesting to see how they tackle these puzzles or obstacles that are in the escape room, and kind of like what the bigger story is in terms of like why this is happening to them. I loved it. Had a great time. What did you think?
I liked it and had a good time. I think, again, we're noticing a theme here. Like, you love these books, and I like these books. But generally, yeah, I liked it. I liked the setup. I liked the premise. I can't remember, because I did give this book 4 stars. I think probably the 2 reasons are, like, I didn't love the characters.
It got too convoluted at the end for you. There were one too many twists for Jake.
Yeah, I don't like convolution in my stories. And yeah, this one, I think if I remember correctly, this might be a different book. They should have just kept it simple, but it got way too complicated at the end. It got turned into something like, what are you doing here? Just keep it like, you got the premise down. Just keep it as it is, but you just went too far. But yeah, this one was solid. It's 4 stars. One of the better Ian Rob Wright books I've read.
Yeah, my favorite Ian Rob Wright book that I've read so far.
Yeah, and it's funny that you have like a horror favorite that I kind of like. Like, I'm kind of the horror guy in our relationship.
Yeah. There's not a ton of horror I read, and then what I do read, I don't tend to love a ton. But this is one that I really had a good time with.
We have one left to discuss. Now, this one is interesting. Now, why is this interesting?
This is interesting because this was a situation where I forced you into an all-time favorite of mine. You didn't like it. You DNF'd the second book in the series, but we made some kind of a book deal wherein I wanted you to go back and try it without DNFing, because book 2 is different than book 1. And in order for that to happen, I had to read something that I did not want to read that you wanted me to read. And that is at the end of my video. So if you're curious what I had to read, go watch mine. But in terms of Jake, it was Red Rising and Golden Sun. And the book deal was specifically to go back and reread Golden Sun without DNFing, because he needed to meet Ragnar. And because Golden Sun is different than Red Rising. Red Rising for me was mid the first time I read it. It was great on reread. But Golden Sun was like all-time favorite status. Blew my mind. Love this book. It's still a favorite. How did you... Well, obviously we know you DNF'd it the first time. So how did this go for you?
So first of all, going into this, like before we even dated or knew each other, I had heard a lot of people talk about this series. I heard a lot of people say like, oh, book 1's not that great, but then book 2 and 3 are fantastic. Just get through book 1 and then you'll enjoy the rest of the series. So I read book 1 and really didn't like it. I didn't like the main character of Darrow. I had a lot of preconceived notions about like what this book would be. Like, I thought this was going to be like really hard sci-fi, but you get into like what they're doing and it just seems it's not what I expected.
It's more like dystopian revolution kind of story.
It's not what I wanted necessarily. And then I gave this book like I don't know, like 2 stars. I really
2 stars?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
You're shocked by that?
Yes.
I really didn't enjoy it, and then I DNF'd book 2 because it, just felt like more of the same. Like Darrow's doing stuff, and I don't give a damn. But we had a book deal where I would finish this book if you finished another book. Go check out her video to figure out what that is, because that's a fun reveal. But you read that book, I read this book, and I didn't like it.
You slogged through it again.
And I gave it 2 stars. It's one of my least favorite series that I've attempted to read. And I will not be continuing because there's no way it's going to be made up. So, this is your favorite series of all time, but it's just not. It's just not for me, baby. Not for me.
It's a good thing we agree to disagree sometimes because. Whew.
Imagine if this was a deal breaker. Like, you didn't like Red Rising? You're out of here. I'm not moving to America. I'm staying in Canada.
Yeah, you read Red Rising before we dated.
Really? I thought Golden Sun was like when we were dating.
Oh, I think the first attempt where you DNF'd it was before we were dating, and then
you gifted it to me.
Yeah. And then the second attempt was after we were dating. I was like, no, you need to give this another try because you need to meet the side characters that the rest of us who love the series love.
Yeah,
because his complaint was that he didn't like Darrow. So I was like, okay, well, you need to meet Ragnar and pay more attention to Severo then.
Yeah, but the whole book is told through Darrow's perspective. The whole the whole trilogy.
Yeah, after Iron Gold, you get multiple.
I'm not making it that far. No, thank you. Yeah, this is. I don't want to be mean, but like it is one of the most like overrated things that I've read because everybody seems to love this. There's some people like Nico. If you're watching this, he doesn't like Red Rising either. But there's far few in between. Like most people are with you and they love the series. They love Severo and all that stuff. It's just not for me. What are you going to do with me? You're going to love me.
I'm going to tell you you're wrong, and I'm going to keep reading and loving the series. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm going to wake up, she's smothering me with a pillow like, Severo! Red Rising! Ah!
I'll just like... Wait till you fall asleep and they'll put on the audiobook without headphones. You'll absorb it subconsciously. And then you'll have Red Rising thoughts in your dreams and wake up and be like, I like this now. What if the story went in this way? And I'm like, it did.
In your dreams. In your dreams.
I'm just teasing.
What I'm going to do the same thing except with, I don't know. So I'll pick something.
We're both going to have bonkers dreams apparently.
But anyway, that's this video. I guess I should do my clap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, that was this video where we talked about books that you wanted me to read, books that you forced me to read, essentially.
Yep.
And my opinions on all of them. So for the most part, I will admit,
I'm
a lot of the times these are good books. Sometimes I love the book. Sometimes I like the books. Sometimes I think they're mid. And then with Red Rising, I did not like it.
Yeah. So generally, I think if I have an all-time favorite book, you will like it. I don't know whether you will love it, but you will at least like it.
Yes. Whereas the reverse, if I have an all-time favorite and you read it, well...
It could go either way.
You just have to go watch the video on the Chapter Conundrum. And if you're interested to see what she had to read in order for me to read Golden Sun, finish it, you're going to have to go check out her channel and watch it till the end and see what's going to be that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you thought of the books that she made me read, whether you loved them, whether you hated them. What are some, if you're aware of what books that I love or that she loves, like which books should we swap and what do you think is going to happen with those?
Yeah, curious question.
Because there are, all-time favorites of ours that we still haven't read probably, so.
Yep.
It could go either way.
I would say there's also books in the category of like one of us has read it and liked it, but we think the other one's really going to love it.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of swap forthcoming at some point soon too.
Yeah, and then there's definitely it could be. This is another video idea potentially. We could talk about anti-TBR books for both of us.
Yeah. Like
books that we've read that we know that the other person is not going to like.
Yeah. Because
you actively have an anti-TBR page on Goodreads.
I couldn't remember one that people had told me. So I started tracking them on Goodreads. I made a shelf.
It's funny because sometimes I'll read a book and I'm like, oh, this is not a Stacy book.
Yeah.
Not a Stacy book.
That's where it goes on the anti-TBR disrecommended shelf.
But anyway, comment down below anything. Just comment down anything. Keep it clean, y'all. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out our channel, The Chapter Conundrum, and
let me know if I convinced you to read any of these books that I loved.
yes. And what do
Join
I
the
say?
Discord where we always have a butt ton of buddy reads every month.
But before you do that, like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like I don't know why you would make it this far if you didn't like the video. But hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, continue to subscribe if you want to see more content. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Stephen King Friday. And then every third Thursday of the month, I do an off-topic video. This month's video is going to be my top 10 favorite drummers of all time. Very fitting for the Bookish Drummer. And you know what my favorite drummer of all time is. Don't reveal it, though. But people probably already know.
We have an emoji for it on the Discord.
But anyway, and like she mentioned, Bookish Drummer Discord, buddy reads, read-alongs, all the damn time. Patreon link if you want to go support me there for as little as $1 a month. And my Amazon wishlist if you'd like to buy us a book. Because if you buy me a book, you're also gifting her a book.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.
Bye.
Bye.